GM.
GM.
How's everyone doing today? Hey, look, I heard we have a great panel today of
Oh
a very
yeah,
important part of the project going to market, right?
yes. So just quick intro on the Bitcoin GTM team. GTM as in go to market. So we have a trio GTM team that which brings vision execution that shape how ApeCoin communicates, activates, and connects across the ecosystem. So essentially, what they're doing is like they're uniting storytelling, strategy, and community to ensure every rollout is creative and culturally resonant to the ApeCo ecosystem. So to kick off, we got Bai, head of marketing content. She defines ApeCoin's narrative voice, leading all content and campaign storytelling with clarity, authenticity, and impact. Next, we got Lost, who's our social lead. Sorry, he drives ApeCoin's social media strategy, aligning platforms, partnerships, engagement tactics that bring the brand to life in real time. And lastly, you got Shpend, our community lead. He powers the community front of all GTM rollouts, activating and amplifying initiatives across the ApeCoin and ApeChain ecosystem. So all three, they combine, they form the strategic backbone behind the ApeCoin's present crafting launches. That the impact is not just seen, it's also felt. So they're all here, and I see like a bunch of Ape PFPs here. So I'll just like quickly hand over to Vi because we have a lot to cover today. And yeah, well, say hello to Vi.
All right,
But
GM, everyone. How's everyone? Hope hope everyone is good. Thank you a lot for the invite. Super excited to be here with everyone here in the Vibe Code Camp. And yeah, let's talk about GTM. As you said, go to market is probably one of the most important things when you're developing, especially now. I think before it was just like, oh, you launch one product and probably you're the only app, right? And now you're competing against a lot. So think wallets, right? Right now, there's only not one wallet. There's multiple wallets. Right now, it just comes down to either, oh, this was the first one I downloaded and pretty much stick with it, or oh no, I want something that is safer, that gives me more um, peace when I'm using it, so I'm moving to something else, right? And probably if you're here, you're using multiple, to be honest. So go to market is this idea of how you can turn your community into ambassadors so that they actually increase the reach of your brand, because in the end, everyone started as a small project, right? So um, it's not only about launching the product; it's also like creating like this kind of like economy for users with incentives and obviously the culture, because that's what's driving Web3 and crypto. And well, that was just kind of like the core idea, the intro. Ideally, one of the main things that is very different with Web3, and I just said it, but when you think about go to market strategy in a Web2 environment, it's essentially always about like, oh, how can I rapidly violently acquire users, right? And you have like this normal funnel, which is like, oh, you have your top strategies where you have like ads and you're running campaigns and whatnot, and you're trying to get as much users as possible. But with Web3, it's very different, because if you take that approach, what is essentially going to happen is you're going to have a lot of people coming to the top funnel, but you're not building a relationship with them. So therefore, they lose interest. They go, how many times, Lug, you have seen a product or a game in Web3, they do like this boom, right? Out of nowhere, they're all over the timeline. They're in every conference. They're everywhere. And then 2 months later, everyone dipped. Nobody liked the product. Product, this is trended. It's dead.
Yeah. It's like
And
it follows the narrative, it follows the hype, and then because like you didn't actually execute it properly, the momentum you just like lose momentum, and then your audience
exactly,
just starts to look for something else.
exactly. And think for this one, think about, for example, Hyperliquid, right? Which, by the way, 8 pointers launch there. We're expanding there. So it's a very solid ecosystem. It's not that big. Like you don't have a lot of people talking about it, but the people that use it are like super committed users, and they're like preaching to everyone else that Hyperliquid is the future of finance on chain. And you can actually see that on that community. And that is essentially what Web3 marketing and go to market is, right? You create like this flywheel driven by users. Sometimes there's tokens, the community, and the culture, and it just keeps moving and moving and moving. And again, you can see that at Hyperliquid. It was like, oh, they started this year with a big push, like in this community. Everyone was like there. Probably everyone wanted the airdrop, but then they realized that the product is solid, it's easy to use, it actually has benefits. They create this community. Jeff, the founder, is like on top of all the conversations. It just keeps moving the flywheel, right? um and that is kind of like how it's different, but the approach and how you implement it is essentially the same, right? It's the same as every other company, where the first phase is always you have to validate, right? You need to find this product market fit. And PP Man actually said this the other week, saying like, if you don't have product market fit, well, it's going to be pretty complicated, because if people is not interested or you're not solving an issue, they're not going to be interested in your product at all, right? So the first important thing is like trying to identify that gap, try to build something that is actually relevant out there for users. Try to set super clear KPIs, early adopters, retention, if they're talking, engagement, not hype. And this is very important, right? Because you can have a lot of hype, you can have a lot of people talking about it, but then nobody's engaging. Nobody's engaging with the content that you're putting out or the community's putting out. Um, Nobody's engaging with your app. Nobody's going to the website. So you're only like, there's only hype. And we have seen this with Amplify campaigns. Like you see it all over the timeline, but is people actually using it? That's what you need to focus on. So, for example, one example of trying to solve for this is we do know that ape holders needed like more avenues, for example, to take advantage of their ape, right? So that was the idea and the product behind Raid, which is one of the things that we just launched, and it's like this expansion, right? After you validated this, then you have the start. Well, we can call it ignition if we want, just to have like a nice, catchy name. But that is essentially building that identity and start working on the people to get excited, start looking for collaborations, storytelling. Maybe you can have a pre-launch campaign. So it's starting that spark, right? It's like, oh, this is it, this is coming. We want to get the community involved, we want to start building this community. I know Shpend is going to talk a little bit more about that, and also Lost with other topics. But again, this is the spark, right? And go to market doesn't end there. This is one of the most common issues, is that we think that go to market is the moment that you launch this and that's it. The moment it hits the timeline, everyone then is happy. We can say that it's done. And that is not the thing. After that, you need to always think about expansion. You need to keep integrating with other things, other apps, other ecosystems, find other collaborators, find developer partnerships. Why? Because if not, your product is just going to be like, oh, cool. You guys launched this, but then there's nothing else in the timeline, or nothing else coming for the product. So it's always about, again, validating that you have a product that solves an issue and that people is going to resonate with it, starting that campaign or launching that product, but then expanding that product. So again, go to market doesn't end once the product hits the timeline, if you want to say it that way. Another really good practical framework is always to have like, and before you start launching things, always think about like, who are you building this for? Like, who is your ideal customer, right? Sometimes we tend to say like, oh, perfect, now I know the problem that I want to solve, but you don't do the job of like understanding what your customer looks like or what do they want. So you really need to always understand, who are you building for? Why are you building this right now? Like, are you, what is the macro or the culture wave that you're kind of like trying to ride or be part of? Like, is this going to be relevant? And as you said, a lot, many people just focus on this, especially on Web3 and crypto. We only focus on the meta, and oh, this is hot right now, I'm going to build something for this, and then it goes away. The other day I was reading an article about the founder of Blast, and they were saying that he's really good at building for each meta. So every time he builds something for a meta, after that meta goes away, he completely abandons it and move to the other thing. And that is bad, because that is not going to give you a bad rep, but it's also not going to create a sustainable product. So you need to think, why are you building this right now? And obviously, what's your edge? If your product, is it because of the tech? Is it because of the UX? Is it because it's just like the vibes? Or is it because of the incentives, right? You really need to have like this super clear. Otherwise, it's not going to be like, oh, people are not going to. If someone else comes and they see, like, oh, this product is interesting, they're probably going to build something with an edge that is more important for users. So, again, those are the quick things, quick tips. Start your GTM before you launch. This is super important. Not like, oh yeah, I already launched everything, now I'm gonna start working on the GTM. Like, it's the other way around, right? And one thing that is very important in crypto is building them in public, right? Um, Try to release updates, sneak peeks, feedback loops. That is one of the main strengths of crypto, that you can build in public. You can get real time feedback. People is willing to give you this feedback, and that is priceless for a business.
Yeah. Uh, Also talking about building in public, there's the meta. I wouldn't call it like meta, but roadmap. This was a term I remember back in like as far as my like Web3 days go. Everyone was talk about like, what's your roadmap, what's your vision, because your community is gonna rally behind you. They want to know that like you actually have a vision, you actually have a plan in place. Not like, oh yeah, we're just gonna like wing it as we go along, because that shows like you have a lack of clarity of what your product is and who it's for. And that's why I feel that like do it publicly, right? Like it's easier to make mistakes in public and learn from it and fix it than just like walk blindly into a wall.
Exactly. And the good thing is, I think the roadmap is, it has enough flexibility for you to pivot and update it as you go. But as you said, it is very important that people see, like, oh shit, like they have an actual idea of where this is going, and they have like KPIs, and they have like specific goals. People can always rally behind a product or a solution that has this very clear.
As well as founders, I've seen that like in Web3, this like it's actually more true than Web2. Like people actually like rally behind the founders because they believe in the founders, because they either have like a either they have like 100% like laser focus, or they have like clarity of like, this is what I'm set out to do. And you're not actually backing the product itself, you're backing the founders. So even if they may pivot after a while, let's say, and then like come up with something better, you trust the founders, is and which is like Web3 gets a bit dodgy when it comes to like backing the founders, but like once you actually like find that right mix of both like conviction, like you want to do this thing, I want like my community to rally behind me, and we're gonna get through this together. I feel like that's one of the most like positive things I've seen in Web3 that is not as popular in Web2, let's say.
100% agree with you. Yep. I think you said it perfectly. And I think that is one of the strengths that sometimes people see it as a problem, but I do see it as a big strength, because of that, because of the community, because of the support, because of the loyal, I don't want to call them customers, right? But like the loyal people that follow your protocol, your app, whatever you're building.
Supporters, we just call them supporters.
Exactly.
Backers. Yeah.
Backers, I
Oh,
like that now.
yeah,
Awesome.
backers. Okay.
I'll
uh
I'll I think we could. I think this is a good moment because we're talking about the backers, and I think that is a perfect cue for Shpend to jump in with the community.
Yeah, it's a perfect segue. Thank you so much. I think, both of y'all hit on some really important points, especially towards the end where, building in public can be daunting, but I think it can be a bit easier once you have and you identify that core community, right? Like we're seeing that already with the other side where building in public, there's going to be little bumps across the road, but your community, one helps debug things, find new things, find features that maybe are, a bit more for their tasting and overall, once you have that strong base, it really, really opens the door and clears the runway. So, I think one of the core ideas I really want to dive into when it comes to go to markets and community is that, I think we've all seen this firsthand, whether it's through the Board ABI Club, whether it's through Ape Chain, whether it's through other side, that community is the strongest amplification and distribution layer there is in Web3. A strong community will market your game, your DApp, your platform, your NFT project better than any single ad campaign ever could. And I think, while there is a good balance to have between, being loud on your own end, your community does a lot of the heavy lifting. And we're seeing that come to life in things like Other Side, where, the Other Side team has been crushing it on cinematics, graphics, rolling out features. But what we're also seeing is the Ape Chain community and Other Side community really activating around all those things, activating around bubbles, activating around outbreak, and pushing it to the next level. Whether it's folks like Other Games, getting out information that is really key to people, getting out guides, getting out tips, spreading fun, spreading rewards. We're seeing the community being able to, really rally around the vision, the mission, and get the word out, and really, I think, bring more eyes through fun, through engagement, through interactive things. And I think, as always, we're human. As when you see people having fun, you're sitting in your backyard, you're looking over, and you're seeing a bunch of people throw down. You're like, okay, what's going on there? How do I get involved? You know, what is driving that fun? And a couple talking points. I really want to just touch on a high level would be, your community does not equal followers. Those are two different things. And then as we transition to, getting started, building from zero, how do you start? Where do you go? And then once you're started, tactics to build and retain that audience, continue growing. And we'll touch on some case studies and then also some mistakes to avoid. So I'll just go ahead, dive right into it, right? With the first point of your community does not equal followers, right? You may see some pages with 100K followers on Twitter. They have that gold badge, but their tweets aren't really hitting, or maybe they're not a protocol you've heard of, or there's not really a lot more going on besides big numbers. Your audience consumes, but your community participates. In Web3, the community that you have, they are your alpha test group. Once you find that genuine group, they are that feedback group that can provide valuable feedback, provide that loop that can, push the product further, push your game further, provide things that maybe, the founding team or building team, may not see at the first hand. And of course, they're your testing group, right? Like if you begin and you find that core audience, you have that leniency to roll out things you may not want to roll out to the broader public. You may not want to post on X. You may not want to broadcast XYZ to thousands of people, but that group of 10 testers, 50 testers, 100 testers can really be a good starting base. And that's where we go. That's where we rotate into building from zero. How do you start? What are some things you can do? It's difficult. Think projects like BAYC started off very small with a couple, hundreds of thousand followers on Twitter. Their first few tweets getting 5, 6 likes. The founders in Discord going out there, shilling the project, shilling their vision. Really trying to get people behind what the Board Apes stand for. And this was, with 5 people. Have to start small. And I think as you begin and you hook people to whatever you're building, whether it's through your storyteller, whether it's through a platform that they feel like is missing in Web3, or a DApp, or an experience that is lacking in other places. You'll start to find those few folks that come across, whether it's on X, whether it's on other platforms, what you're building and are interested. So as you start getting that small group, you have to find a way to reward those OG users, those quote unquote real users, people that are diving into your product, not for the incentives that you may be laying out, but for the vision that you're laying out, for the mission, for the goals, and overall for the product. So once you start getting people, following you on your X or diving into your Discord in very early days, it's important to make those people feel seen, whether it's rewarding them with something as simple as an OG role. Hey, with the first 100 in this Discord, or tying that OG role to a guaranteed mint list, or something maybe even more of a bigger incentive, which could be discounted early mints for those OG people. I don't think this is something you should be broadcasting to the audience, as it could bring people in that are only looking to come in for that discount or for that incentive. But that is something you can do to roll out once you start seeing your base build out, and you start seeing people that are genuinely interacting with your project because they want to be a part of it, not because of whatever incentives you're laying out. That's where you can throw out those carrots and continue to grow out that audience. I think one thing that we all know here is, while we love our other platforms, the attention on crypto Twitter lives and thrives on X. We'll get into some more, social strategies, some social tactics in losses section. But I think at a high level here, you should be focusing on growing your presence. You can do that by staying consistent, posting consistently, engaging with whatever active audience you may have. And then from there, maybe expanding that out, right? You don't need to launch a Discord day one. You don't need to launch a Telegram day one. You don't want those channels to be just filled with GMs and just basic chatting. You want it to be filled with contribution, right? So maybe you start off with a small X group out of people that you see are super interactive with your GM posts, with your memes, with your go to market beats that you're teasing or that you're leading up to launch, and then taking that group and then moving them into a place like Discord and Telegram, where you can create more channels that have more substance, right? You can create a feedback channel, you can create a support channel, you can create a meme channel, you can create other channels that allow your community that you already have to feel seen, to get rewarded, and also share their mindset, their feedback, their opinions, and ultimately help the project grow. And all in all, like we're saying, uh, be that marketing layer, right? As people get excited around your community, they tell their friends. They retweet your post. It gets shown on someone else's timeline. Someone else may be interested, and then that just slowly starts to snowball. To becoming an avalanche that can take over Web3. And we've seen examples like this through protocols like Lens and Paragraph, that started with a micro creator community, and then began scaling through other channels, through their platform, through building out their apps. And I think once you've already, got that small base, you've got your home base, whether it's on X, whether it's on Discord, then that's where you start getting into, tactics to continue to grow, to build, and retain your current audience, right? So this can be done through multiple avenues, whether it's through the way BAYC has done it, with strong storytelling, that you can craft brand lure, brand narratives, that brand mindset through your storytelling that will resonate with your audience, resonate with your current audience, resonate with that new audience. I think we've seen that in general outside of projects like BAYC become really that hook that can continue to grow your audience, and have that your OG folks really get behind, if you continue to expand that storytelling and that lore, through the way that they expected the project to go, whether it's an NFT project, whether it's a protocol, whether it's a game or a DApp. I think storytelling is a really key point, and we've seen a lot of success in Web3 through proper storytelling, and then maybe some flops through uh, pivoting on your storytelling, not staying true to your core, not staying true to that audience. So it is a key point. But then also other things like early contributor programs, excuse me, similar to what we mentioned a bit earlier, like giving people roles, using protocols that are already active in the space, like OpenPage, to reward your users with badges, making them feel seen for participating, making them feel seen for being early. And if there's someone that, truly believes in your vision, truly believes in what you're building, they're going to wear those badges. They're going to wear those roles as, no pun intended, a badge of honor, where if 1 year, 2 years down the line, they're very, um, your project takes off, they get to rep that as, being proud. Hey, I still see some people saying, hey, I'm, part of the first 200,000 people that tested OpenSea back in, early 2020s, even prior to that. So, just making your people feel seen, building out things like maybe a reputation score, leaderboards for contributing, can go a long way in terms of retaining people. And then also, sprinkling in carrots like smaller rewards, whether it's allocations, whether it's NFTs, whether it's, free usage on whatever platform you're building, or whatever makes sense for whatever your build is. Finding ways to sprinkle in those carrots to those early contributors can really help pour fuel on that fire. Um, and I think, some other key points would be stuff like transparency. We know it's not easy to build in Web3. We know things, unexpected things happen, pivots turn, narratives change, the space can change, especially if you're building for, a long-term vision. The space, 3 months can feel like a year. Complete metas can change. So just share your progress, share your failures, and share your decisions, right? It's okay to pivot if you feel like this is for the betterment of, one, your brand, two, your product, and three, your community. Just be transparent with it. Let people know, like, hey guys, we started this thinking this mindset, but as we see, we're looking to build for the future. This meta may be shifting, but we really believe XYZ is the future. We want to plant our flag here and be early. And if those early contributors are really your early believers, and like Alok mentioned earlier, a lot of folks here in Web3, I think also on Ape Chain, specifically believe in founders. Get behind a founder, get behind a person, get behind a vision. So as long as you stay genuine to that, share your progress, share your failures, share whatever decision as you may be making, whether it's pivoting, whether it's removing something, adding something. All in all that should be accepted as long as you try to do it wholeheartedly, with your community in mind. And I think, one thing that we've also seen be a big, big success in terms of like building out your community, retaining your community, is giving your community ownership, and then also giving them the tools for UGC. Um, you know, while stuff like logo use and, branding, trademarks can be fairly touchy, I think it's okay to sometimes, take a seat back, and as long as it's done in good faith and good quality and not, in a trolling behavior, letting your community play around with your logos, letting community play around with your avatar or whatever your brand resonates around, can help get the word out further. We have a handful of amazing content creators in Ape Chain, in the broader Web3 space, whether it's someone that's an artist, whether it's someone that is just beginning their journey and messing around with AI tools that we see. Um, we've seen now bigger brands even resonate to, hey, let me make a little ad around, using Sora, using Flow, using whatever AI tools there are around. Um, and you never know, you could find, as you're a founder, maybe you're a small team, maybe it's just yourself and you're so heads down in building your vision. You may stumble upon a community member that may create better content than yourself, right? That may create stuff that are punchy, that are funny, that can retain users. And think we've seen that on multiple fronts, whether it's communities like G's, the Gobs, and also our Gator fam, that it's starting to mess around with AI more officially, where if you can give the tools, if you can give meme templates, if you allow your avatar, your brand vocal points to be ran with the community in good faith, it can really create some magic on the timeline and drive some FOMO and just fun and excitement around what you're building that maybe you didn't think of yourself, since there are so many creative people across the community. And I think that gets into, our case study. One that, Vi mentioned earlier, that we're seeing have decent success with various points that I mentioned before, is the Ape Chain, Ape Coin's raid campaign, around community-driven integrations and meme energy and rewarding users. Whether it's something like Wall Chain, where it's more of a direct incentive through the InfoFi, through the reward pool of like, hey guys, spread the word through genuine posts, not through quote unquote AI slop, around the partners that are activating, around the use cases, around what ApeCoin can do across these platforms. It rewards them. It incentivizes your community. It's done so across ApeCoin, across ApeChain, where we've even seen people like King Pickle, create a landing page for people to have all that information in one place. That then also allows more people to continue to share what they're building, and just continue that high energy around what's going on with your campaign. And then also just memes, right? We're in Web3. Memes are capital. Memes are attention, and maybe you haven't noticed, but you should be tapping into the ApeCoin intern over here, dropping different memes, different banners, different things for the community to activate around that is specific to Ray that we've seen, some pretty good success around. And also just the usage in the platforms, right? Where Wall Chain has, given the multipliers to some of the OG communities in Yuga, like BAYC, like MAYC, like Codas, as well as holding ApeCoin across these different chains. So all in all, it's kind of, I would look back at the ApeCoin raid campaign as a decent case study in terms of like, hey, what are some tactics that I can use to amplify what we're doing? How can I lean on the community to get the word out? And what are some things I could possibly be doing a bit more officially to help support that audience and growing? So I think all in all, those are some key points to keep in mind. One last thing I want to touch on is just some small mistakes to avoid, right? Where you don't want to rush your launch. You don't want to launch something without an alignment to your vision, to your narrative. You should be answering the question, what does your brand stand for? What does your product stand for? Um, Before diving in and looking to grow it out to your community, before you get people invested and engaged, you should be able to answer those questions yourself. And you know also paying for engagement before you have that product or before you have that stickiness, right? I think some of us can kind of tell when things on X and other platforms are botted or feel a bit botted, where the engagement isn't as organic as something you can see where it's a meme or where it's a call to action for people. So just be mindful that other people can see those things, and you don't want to rush and maybe expose your hand too early, or uh, turn people off to a dope project, a dope NFT community that you could be looking to build because you want to do things like build up hype before there's actual substance. So just a couple things there. I think all in all, the main point here is that your community is your distribution layer. They are the main vocal points. They can get the word out stronger than you probably can in terms of like an official ad campaign, pushing out guides, XYZ. Um, your community onboards, your community spreads the word, and your community shows people that there's something there. You can show them that the grass is greener on the other side once they ape into what you're building. So yeah, and I think that's a good place. I know I ran over just a little bit, so apologies. But yeah, I think we can segue over into just user acquisition and retention strategies with our man Lost.
I'm sitting here looking at Alok's smiling face and just wondering, like, is he gonna jump in? Is he gonna say something? I saw his eyes pop up and lit up too when you said the intern, man. He was like, oh, he's gonna. Even Alok doesn't know. That's how you know you were never gonna find out here, first and foremost. But I'm watching, bro.
Yeah, just like love the comments here as well. Like I think like Lost would be sweating how to follow up after these two panels, but I think this is going to be, this is the one I'm looking forward to the most. I'll be honest with you. No bias here, but I want to hear Lost go over social media
Oh,
strategies.
100%. That's why we put him last, sir. Lost is a very very tough act to follow, so it's actually the other way around. But yeah.
No,
You
appreciate
know,
you guys. Appreciate the love. Appreciate to be the anchor. And I do have notes here, and we'll try to just work through them pretty quickly and keep everything here on track. I do talk quick, so if you have to listen back, you can put it on half speed or just listen faster, whatever it is that works for you. But yeah, so the segment here, it's user acquisition and retention strategies. The idea being, I mean, we've just listened to Vi and Shpend telling us about the different go-to-market strategies, how to sort of build and meet and find your community in this ecosystem. But the hardest part isn't necessarily the virality, getting people's attention. It's easy to have that initial flash and catch people's eye, but keeping people's attention once that launch hype sort of fades and the dust clears, seeing what's settled and who's left. I think first and foremost, especially if you're familiar in the ape ecosystem, but even if you're not, if you're a crypto user, it's 2025. So I think you guys are all at this point pretty familiar with different options that we have. Nobody wants to use a wallet extension. We have friends across the industry, so I'm not going to call anybody out by names, but you know who you are. People want the instant wallets. They want the glyph. They want the privy. They want the dynamic. They want to log in with Twitter. They want to log in with Google. You guys have been collecting posters from the Alpine activation. You guys have been collecting posters along with millions of Alpine fans, along with millions of other people that are signing in with their Twitter, with their Google account. And that is really what we're heading into. We're hiding all of these wires, and we're putting the 24 word seed phrase in our notebooks, and we're keeping those in our closets with our from high school with all the cute girls and all the cute guys' phone numbers. We don't need those anymore. We got technology. This is the future. If you guys, it is the future. And Glyph and Privy and Dynamic, they're still relatively new, especially if you're a developer and this is the Vibe Code Camp. So if you are somebody who is wanting to integrate Glyph or Privy, definitely make sure you're tapping in with the Loke. He is the DevRel. He set this up. I mean, with intent and for a reason. So if you guys are hearing that note and then thinking, it's too much of a challenge, definitely feel free to reach out to the team here for support with that Glyph integration so that you can have folks logging into your app. I mean, your whatever it is that you're building, your game, your decks, your marketplace, your AI driven tools, and let people have access to that with the regular sign-in methods. So once you've sort of gathered your product, you've built, you've vibe coded your way into something that you're confident about, you're comfortable with, you're very passionate about, and maybe even you've onboarded some investors and you've got some friends and family that have sort of gathered along the way, and they're interested and they support you, and everything feels great. But who else knows about you and what you're doing? And that's sort of where the conversation shifts from product and development to more of sales and distribution. And I would say for ApeChain, especially toot our own horn, this is one of the things, and you could probably ask people about it. You can ask around it. You don't have to take it from me, but we support our ecosystem with distribution, maybe one of the best in the game with regards to protocol level support. A blockchain coming off of the perch, stepping out from behind the gated wall, so to speak, and coming down on the ground, helping developers, helping founders, helping people with ideas to get distribution, to get their product, to get their ideas in front of the right people, so that they can ultimately find that support. And if you're not building in the 8-point ecosystem, welcome to this session. I mean, you're here an hour in, so that something is working. But if you are, then you've probably seen examples of this, and definitely, again, always feel free to reach out to this community team and to our DevRel support here if you feel like I'm talking to you, if you feel like damn, I could use that sort of support. And there's so many different channels, but X and Twitter, it is the main Twitter, and crypto exists across every platform at this point. We're 20 years into the game, we're everywhere. Even if a new platform popped up today, someone's going to open a Twitter page or a crypto page. But on Twitter, I'm not calling it X. It's called CT. It's not called CX. It's still crypto Twitter. And I mean, historically, even back in like 2015, 2016, 2017, when Reddit was kind of at the top of the crypto game, crypto Twitter was always sort of where the news hit our industry first and would then carry out into these other platforms and the traditional media. So if you're here, you actually are probably early. There's like a connotation, I guess, around coming into X and into Twitter, whether it's into a group chat, whether it's into a spaces, whether it's into a segment like this, and telling people about what you're building, about what you're passionate about. It's called shilling, right? Don't come in here. Don't shill your tweet. Don't come up on the stage. Don't shill your shit. Don't be afraid to show. Like if you're hearing this, this is probably for you. Like if you're listening to this, do not be afraid to show. If you're building a product, if you have a strong IP, people want to know more. And there will be nobody better to tell people about it than you. Like you can hire a salesperson, you could hire the marketing team, but nobody's gonna understand your product, and nobody's gonna be more passionate about what you build, about what you have, than you. So don't listen when you hear, don't show, let them kick you out of the group chat, let them kick you off the stage. Just take the shot, because 9 out of 10 times once you get going, it evolves from the shill to, kind of sharing your passion. And that's where people meet with shared interests. On X and Twitter specifically, obviously there's different platforms and you should use them. But for X and for Twitter, you want to announce new partners, new use cases. This is a place where if you're in Twitter, your partners will probably expect you to have some level of co-marketing support. They're going to want a quote retweet where you're going to have to write copy in support of something that they've announced. They're going to want you to just hit the retweet button at whatever time they feel good about posting their content out. So do, create that X channel and do develop your X and your Twitter channel if you're building something, whether it's your brand account or your personal account. Even if you don't feel like it's useful for you, you will ultimately, if you're finding success, be working with people and partners in a community who will value that channel and the information that you can put out of those channels. But it's not just about the information. Obviously, some of the most viral content on Twitter, it is the memes, it is the brain rot, it is the GIFs, the 3-4 second clips, the less than 10-second little short videos that are AI created now with maybe some of your favorite people that were not really ever in the conversation, but they just got AI'd in there. Those sort of things really excite the timeline. They can rally your community, but not just around trending topics, around your IP. And I feel like this is almost the obvious question, or would be an obvious question, but if you are building a brand, if you're building a product, and especially if you're planning to sell something, do you have that sort of ad icon? Do you have that Tony the Tiger? Do you have the Mickey Mouse? Do you have that mascot? Every football team, they have the mascot. Do you have a cast of characters? And if not, then you might want to think about having a core character or set of characters. Because once you've got that and you have a sense of your brand voice and your narrative and sort of who your audience is, who you're talking to, it makes it really easy to create fun campaigns that your audience is interested in, that your community is interested in. Mash up your IP with something that's trending, like Taylor Swift and Travis getting married. That was a big one that the 8 Point account did a mashup with the ape IP and the penguin IP, and everybody was super excited. So once you've got those sort of core characters that everybody recognizes, it's easy to tap into an existing viral moment and sort of take advantage of that, or even create your own sort of meme or viral moment and see how the community runs and takes it off on their own. And then we're talking about crypto Twitter, we're talking about sales. The final bullet point here, it has to be the element of FOMO, this idea, the fear of missing out. You may have experienced it yourself. You may have felt this. You may have been in the group chat. I see at least one Moonbird holder here. We got via. You may have been in the group chat the first time that Moonbirds went from 1 ETH to 80 ETH. I was in the chat. I remember. I was there. Fear of loss, fear of missing out. It's real, and this is like a human reaction. This is like a natural thing. If you felt it, don't feel bad. And it's explained as, and this is explained in sales rooms worldwide, but the fear of loss is greater than the need to gain. And it's an impulse. It's a factor of impulse. It doesn't affect everybody. Not everybody responds the same, but it causes people to act without having like really thought about it, without considering all of the ramifications. So one of the things you really need to learn in sales, and that you should, kind of identify when it's working on you. If something makes you feel like you're experiencing FOMO, like take note of that. Like that's something that you could probably replicate and use in your own sort of co-marketing ideas, and maybe incite that same impulsive behavior from your own customers. And there's a few of those impulses. I'll just tell you them, and you guys can research and kind of do with them what you will. But along with this idea of like fear of missing out, fear of loss, there's this idea of a sense of urgency. And there's different ways to express these things, both in writing and physically, verbally. So sense of urgency, the idea of greed, there's catchy phrases for all of these too. So if you think about like what does loss mean when he's saying, greed as a human impulse, think about if you've heard like the phrase the Jones effect, right? So when you see your neighbor and they have a clean yard, it makes your yard feel shitty. It makes you want to clean your yard. I want my yard to look as nice as the Joneses, as my neighbors. And in fact, I want it better. Let's get a strawberry plant. Let's get a bush. I want fruit growing in my yard. And then they get a new car. Then they get the brand new the Tesla truck. Damn, my Tesla's looking bad right now. I need to get the Tesla truck. So this like idea of greed, it's just like a natural impulse. Again, not everybody responds differently to different things, and some people are very well aware of these impulses and are like trained against them. And I guess that's where sort of the last one is the most relevant, and it's the idea of like indifference, which is like people really like to buy shit, right? They love to be awake at midnight and buy something for $9.99, and oh wait, you get another one free. Oh, and if you order now, free shipping, no tax. Like people love to feel like they got a good deal, but they hate to feel like a salesman is selling them something. And it's a tough balance, but to understand that it is an important tool to have in your belt, especially if you're going out on Twitter Spaces and you're speaking with people, or you're consistently putting content out on the timeline. Just the balance of letting people feel like they got a deal, like they found something that they want, versus you're pushing something on them that ultimately that they don't want. And that's relevant across all the platforms. Just to touch on some of the other platforms that we use, and some of the ones that are, I would say, especially relevant in our ecosystem and in crypto and the wider ecosystem. Discord, it's the OG gamer platform. Personally been using Discord since 2015. I already had over 100 servers when crypto started. I have over 200 servers now across 2 different profiles, because you can only have 200 servers. Emojis are a problem. I need to leave some. It was like the staple for every project in 2021, and there must be some that I can leave, but I haven't. But that maybe speaks to the stickiness of the platform itself. And it is a great platform to sort of engage with your community, rally participation. You can post tweets there into Discord and sort of get like a compounding effect on some of the information that you're putting out, making sure that everybody sees it, and gathering feedback from Discord. There's different tools in there, so you can go into voice chat. You can set up private server or private rooms within your server and give people roles, so that you can kind of coordinate and align the different conversations among different parts of your community. And yeah, I mean, Discord is not new. It shouldn't be surprising for anybody here. The other one is Telegram. Could probably do a whole segment on Telegram. It is the trenches with regards to crypto. It's where you can go and get the contract address. It's where you can go and get the ticker. It's where you're safe. Maybe the safest to go in and show relentlessly, even if you're not building a damn thing. The trenches are real, but it's also an interesting platform. It was, I think, one of the first like sort of social media platforms where they let developers come in and build their own unique tools. Reddit and Discord allow for those things now too, but I think Telegram is the one that is kind of the furthest along. So you can create bots and games. We're seeing a lot of success with companies selling stickers, making hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. If you can swing that, even Allo sold a sticker pack, so it's definitely within grasp. If you're a normal person, I've met Allo. These are real people doing normal things, so that's not outside the realm of options, possibilities. It's really a unique ecosystem, and I would definitely encourage people to learn about Telegram. And I guess a shout out to the Ton ecosystem too. Obviously, the Bored Ape Yacht Club has a sticker pack there, so friends and family all around. I see I'm just about 2 minutes over, and I still have a little bit of a section here. Alok, how do we feel about the time? You're muted. You're beautiful. But
Yeah, no, I mean we're good with the time, honestly. I think we can extend this because I think there's a lot to cover here. I mean, there's like these three segments actually work in tandem, but they're like each in its own separate things that you have to deal with. And I think like before going to the Q&A, we can extend it. I think like we're fine. Don't worry about it.
Okay. Just want to make sure, respect everybody's time in here. Appreciate everybody that's listening. I know we can't see you or hear you, but I feel you. There's 120 comments on the YouTube chat. So what's up, chat? Appreciate you guys. Okay. So just wrapping up here for the distribution channels, the channels in our ecosystem, letting people know about you and what you're doing. Just maybe even like a summary here, but 3 tips to get in front of your audience. This is like, I guess, search engine optimization is just a buzzword. I'm not sure that any of these tips are necessarily relevant to search engine optimization, but if you get to a point that you've got a website and a product that needs a website, definitely go and learn what you can about that. But for now, for getting started, for launching, I think hacking the algorithm is probably the most important thing, getting that initial virality to carry on into different pockets of the ecosystem so that new users will find your product. I would, and even going back to kind of where I started, when you're building the product, you've got this sort of initial base of supporters. Maybe it's family and friends, maybe it's investors, maybe you do have a social media account and it's just you've already got a following and people are interested in you and the content that you're building, and now you're launching a product, and so that maybe that's the building the audience is the easy part. But if not, prioritizing the relationships above the algorithm, I would say is key. And again, touching back on one of the things from the last segment, you're going to have partners that you're working with that want support on social media. You're going to have people within your organization that are working on different things that ultimately come through on the timeline in support of your brand. And there's just a lot of decisions that you'll have to make when it comes to sort of what's best for your metrics on your timeline and the relationships that you have. But those relationships can ultimately drive more power to your brand and to your channels than even like the best of paid campaigns. Supporting people that are building in this ecosystem, you'll get more of the organic responses. You'll get more of the real consumers. You'll get more of the people that are already sort of committed and locked into an existing ecosystem to kind of look over and see what it is that you're doing. Project, I guess I don't have this written in my notes, but I'm just thinking as I'm talking about this, you guys might have even seen an example of this with Project Raid. As ApeCoin sort of enters these new ecosystems, we're building relationships with all of these new protocols. It's not just that, oh, we've integrated into Solana and all of the sudden ApeCoin is available with 20 new protocols and we're announcing 20 new partners. Same thing on Hyperliquid. Here we come into a new ecosystem and all of a sudden it seems like ApeCoin is available everywhere. All of those integrations are as a result of relationships. Simple Farmer, I mean, shout out to Simple Farmer. He's been in the ecosystem for a long time. He pops up and he's like, oh yeah, I know 30 people over in Solana. I've known them for 5 or 10 years. Let me have a conversation and see if they're interested in what we're doing. All of a sudden, what's going on the timeline doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how people feel about ApeCoin or ApeChain or Bored Ape or the ecosystem. They know our head of DeFi, they know Simple Farmer, they know the people, and all of a sudden the relationship is it's resulting in action, in results on the timeline and on the chain. And so for you guys, if you're listening, when you're building, every time that you collaborate with a new product or a new ecosystem, a new IP, like a new NFT collection, every one of those that you're supporting, or every one of those that you integrate or is integrating your product, it's an opportunity for you to find a new audience with a similar interest. Because I mean, if they're here, you at least have that in common. That like there's a small percentage of people that are really interested in Web3, and probably we could go even smaller, like a small percentage of people that are interested in Web3 as an industry being successful. And so if you're here and you find someone that's building, you probably already at least have that in common, and it's a good foundation to sort of build on from there. And using quantitative research, hard stats, to identify preferences. So we do a lot of vibing. This is literally called the Vibe Code Camp. But once you start to put things out there, I think you guys may have seen the meme where it's like a broken circle, and you can start rough and make it perfect later. So once you start to put stuff out there, that's when you can gather feedback. You can kind of study the statistics, identify preferences from your community, and look for new trends. And that's for social and for on-chain. I guess maybe an example of identifying community preferences, if you look at the ApeCoin timeline right now, and just look through like the media, or even if you just scroll the timeline and go through some of the posts that went out over the weekend, you can see that we put out meme content. We put out like a version of a gorilla that's looking at the phone, that's like Vegeta, and he's powering up. We put out Curtis, and he's waiting for Ape Fest. We put out towards the end of last week like a Bop It style of animation, and we know we've seen in the past that the community likes that kind of content. They like the meme content. They like the illustrations. They like the actual animations. They would love some sound in the animations too. But we've recognized that in the past, and so when we put those things out over the weekend, we sort of have an expectation, and then you see like sort of the results. They perform very well. They get hundreds of likes in a couple of days. Probably will have over 1,000 of likes, and probably like close to 100,000 of views by the time a week passes. And us knowing to make that investment into that sort of content and into people's attention on the timeline is because we've seen the results. We've seen what sort of content works well. We've tried different content, and we know we have a sense anyway for what people would prefer and what they kind of don't like to see. This is actually a separate bullet. So yeah, that's using quantitative research, hard stats, just looking for preferences, looking for trends. The other thing is surprise and delight. This is something I think the Bored Ape Yacht Club damn near invented the idea, the concept in Web3 of surprise and delight. And those sort of campaigns are great and almost necessary in the crypto ecosystem. There's almost like an expectation of getting rewards. And if I participate, I've earned something. I've proved my work. I've made an investment. I have a proof of stake. I think like those terms are sort of like inherent and baked in somehow in our industry. And even though we don't hear them a lot, proof of work, proof of stake, we don't hear a lot anymore. But I think it's part of like the ethos, and I'm not sure if that will ever change. But it's been about a decade, I would say, of a pretty high visibility with retail customers, with normal people, and right now in the current state in 2025 crypto, there is a very clear desire for clarity. Surprise and delight is great if people turn around and run into something they weren't expecting. There's little execution risk there just to make people happy, but people have much less willingness to just to trust me, bro, and that's great. We're in an ecosystem where the ethos is sort of not to trust and to verify. So it seems like all things coming around as they should. Man, I want to Go ahead. Yeah, say something to me, Alok. Say something.
No, I mean that's incredible. I actually wanted to. This is like something that I wanted to talk about. Is it's a bit daunting to put yourself out there. Like you're building in public, you're actually posting out updates. You're like, this is my vision. This is what I'm gonna do, and then you have followers, and then but there's backlash aspect as well. All of a sudden, even if you like slightly pivot or start questioning, you just like you're met with FUD. And then there are people who are just like trying to destroy you because like they just feel that their bags are what actually matter at the end of the day. And then I mean like you actually get a lot of negativity in this space as well, because everything is so open. There's so much. It's like there's this echo chamber on CT as well, where it's like slight doubt actually gets amplified as well. So how do you deal with that?
Yeah, I mean, you're 100% right, and especially if you're somebody who's new or doesn't have the same voice as somebody who decides that they felt slighted by you or your product, it can be very, very challenging to overcome. One thing I would say is like don't be afraid to stand your ground. Like if and I'm not speaking to shitheads. I saw the comment section. I saw Croc. He was asking if this is lost AI. Not today, MFer. Not today. So I'm not speaking to scammers. I'm not speaking to assholes. I'm talking to people that are really building stuff that have a strong product. Stand your ground. Don't let people bully you. If somebody takes a grievance out to the timeline, it's I don't want to say it's almost like an act of war, but like if they have if you know that this person had to channel to you, that they could have sent you a private message and they've chosen to instead sort of take the opportunity to shit all over you on the timeline, try to rally people against you and your passion. You can't let somebody else steer your narrative on the timeline, or you will have lost completely your narrative. So to the extent that you feel comfortable and like within your own voice and with regards to your whatever your stakeholders wishes, or if you have lawyers or whatever, I'm not telling you to do anything that you shouldn't here, but stand your ground. Don't let anybody go out there and spread lies or try to say that you've in some way scammed them or done something wrong when you've built a product, you've launched something, maybe you've even made a mistake, something didn't happen soon enough or on the right timeline or the cadence that you said it would. You be accountable. You can come out and admit if you've done something wrong, but definitely come out and have the conversation with people. Don't go and hide. Don't run off into the group chat and try to keep it off the timeline. If somebody's already sort of brought the heat, then you really do sort of have to respond either with some sort of empathy and acknowledging that you've done something wrong and you're being accountable and letting people know that you're there and that they can trust and feel safe that at least you're there and things hopefully could get better. Or if it's a lie, then it's wartime.
Yeah, it needs to be addressed. You can't actually have someone posting negative stuff which is not true. So it actually gets worse if you just stay silent on the subject. I think you have to clear it out.
Yeah, 100%. You see it all the time. Don't come around here talking shit about Bored Apes thinking shit's sweet, because Garga might fucking pop up like the Grim Reaper on your ass. He might, man. I would hate to just look over and see notification Crypto Garga responded to your tweet after saying some spicy shit. Probably cooked you, bro. Probably cooked you. So yeah, don't be afraid to respond, and don't be afraid to cook somebody if they're talking shit and it's not right. 100%. All right, two more quick points here. These ones are significantly shorter than the other ones because this one is boring for me. I'm not big on numbers. I mean, I'm good with patterns. I'm good at identifying overlapping areas of interest and where there might be an opportunity for growth. But as far as like conversations and talking about it, not especially interesting for me. But data and feedback is important. We talked just a bit during the previous section just about sort of the quantitative research and how the hard stats will help you identify preferences or new trends. And so at the core, the data and the feedback, taking it in is to understand your community, and to take advantage of it would be empathizing with the experiences. So not just treating these numbers as black and white, but understanding that behind sort of this data and feedback, that these are real people with unique experiences. As far as platforms, you probably want to take advantage of something. If you guys are building a product, if you guys are in this space, X it has like native social listening tools, so you can pay for like a premium on X. Again, I'm not suggesting that people do anything that's like unaffordable or bad for their business, but to the extent that you can, there's like 2 different levels of premium on X, and each of those sort of premium tiers come with different tools, different access to different analytics, different levels of the AI. And I mean, if you're not going to pay for a third party tool, then would suggest that you guys at least have the Twitter premium. And even that, you can get a sense of how many new followers you're getting and start to track that out on a month-to-month, week-to-week basis, and month-to-month, week-to-week for all these things. You can start to get a sense for engagements, how many people are responding with your posts. Actually, you can get a sense for how much of a reach that you have, how far out your visibility is on posts. You can get a sense for your demographic. I'm not totally sure how accurate the demographic tracking is on there, but it's there, it's present. So you can get like, I would say for ApeCoin, we see like a high concentration on X in America, but there is, and especially like towards the beginning and like the first and second quarters of this year, like we do see the African community, and especially from Nigeria, like extremely present in our demographics. So it's not just like we have the Ape Chain Africa community you guys have seen, like Docman and the fucking Froglings community, and like all of these guys in our spaces and hosting their own, and that community that is represented in the statistics and our demographics. And that's just like a small maybe example of how you can sort of identify what's real or what's not, because there is a lot of sort of false metrics that are floating around on social with all these different InfoFi campaigns. But yeah, if you can take advantage of a third-party listening tool as well, we definitely use them on our team, something like Sprout or Sprinkler. And if you can afford it, a tool like Kaido, again, not suggesting you guys should spend outside of your means, but Kaido can get you from just understanding what's going on with the timeline to sort of being able to track what users are doing also on chain. And we've introduced an InfoFi campaign recently that will act similarly, and that's called Banter. And through that Banter campaign, there we have a leaderboard where folks will be able to track and compete, and we'll be able to see not only the engagements on the timeline, but also how people are participating in the other side on trading platforms, on different games that are built on ApeChain. So definitely, be taking advantage of those tools and learning where you can. Dune and Nansen are a couple of the other popular ones for the Web3 activity. Dune is maybe one of the lower cost ones if you're a developer, or if you have developers that can kind of help you to set something up there. And so once you have all of this data, once you have all of this information, you've sort of got a sense of maybe a demographic or what people are engaging with the most, what people are doing within your ecosystem. That's where, like, maybe you have a superpower, or maybe you have someone on your team, or someone that has what is like, I feel like is a superpower of being able to connect these dots. So where are you seeing areas of interest within your community? What are people interested in? Like for Bored Apes, there's a special interest around wall chain, because there was a multiplier for the Bored Apes. And at some point over the past couple of months, Solana and Hyperliquid became a part of our conversations. I'm sure at another point earlier during this year, like Fartcoin might have been at some point overlapping into like the interest of our community, and probably because Gordon was speaking about that. So if you can identify these sort of areas of interest and see where they're overlapping across different demographics, that's where I think there's magic. So and what I mean by that is, let's say you're in a group chat with a bunch of Bored Apes and they're all talking about Fartcoin, and then you look over in your punks private group chat and there's no apes in there, and they're talking about Fartcoin, and then you log into your Trenches Telegram and it's all Solana traders, they're all talking about Fartcoin, and then you go into Discord and it's the 2021 Discord of all the homies that were collecting NFTs. They don't have Bored Apes. They're not on Solana. They've just got all the things they collected from 3 years ago. They're somehow talking about Fartcoin. You get a text and your mom is asking why Fartcoin is on the news. Now you've got this like interest that's overlapping across different areas, and that's when it's time to like dial in, figure out why everybody is talking about this thing, and see if you can tap in and take advantage or integrate, update, figure out what you've got to do to tap in to what is clearly a wide interest. And you unmuted. Were you unmuted the whole time?
No, I just unmuted now. It was like, if your mom calls you about Fartcoin, probably you're too late now.
Oh yeah. You might have missed some data if you wait for the text message. You might have missed some of that on-chain action if you wait for mom to text. But yeah, that's a signal. That's one of them. All right, last thing, retention tactics. Again, this is a short and sweet section here. We see a lot of different tactics for retention in the ecosystem, a lot of retention tactics across the traditional industry. If you guys are gamers, a lot of these things probably feel very familiar. The top thing for our ecosystem is 100% the public leaderboard, from the biggest whales to the daily active users that are sitting in the group chat all day with 0.05 ETH in their wallet, half believing in the ecosystem, all their money's in. From top to bottom, people want to compete on a leaderboard. They love to be in the top 10. They love to be the top 1. They love to be in the top 100, 200, 50. Whatever you tell them the top is, the cutoff for the top is, people love to shoot for that goal. They love to race for pink slips. Somebody would happily put up their entire Lamborghini if you told them that they have a chance to beat somebody else on a leaderboard for their Lamborghini and be rank 1. Oh, you could get anybody. Public leaderboards, top down, people want to be the best. Sort of on the same lines of that, achievements. We've been chasing achievements. If you're a person that was born with the internet, if you're a person that was born with access to Xbox and PlayStation, you know about achievements, you know about badging, you know about leveling up to get access to different stuff. All of those sort of standard traditional things, those are retention tactics. Why has D's and 15 other of your favorite crypto people been playing the Pokemon, Pokemon fucking the trading card, the TCGP game, whatever the fuck. Why have they been playing that for a year? Because you have to log in every day to rip the packs. You have to log in every 12 hours to rip the packs. You have to log in every week so you can get the promotional special shiny card. It just works. Sometimes you don't have to recreate the wheel. So those sort of traditional retention tactics, they just work. In our ecosystem, we have unique opportunities though. So in our ecosystem, unlike any other, there is the opportunity to build together with brands, like this idea of like shared and owned IP, co-creation, and like merit, things that are based on merit and and verifiable. And especially in our ecosystem, if people have a chance to sort of prove that they've done something, or that they've been around for a while, then the community tends to sort of rally around those folks, and so to empower them, you can do like polls. You can put out ways for people to like have material impact on your ecosystem by doing polling among holders, You can do contests. You can do art collabs. All of these different things to make people feel like they're a part of your brand, to make people feel like they've contributed to the ecosystem, to make them feel like this is a place for them that they've helped to build. And maybe they've helped to build it for their kids, maybe they've helped to build it for their family, they want to be here, and it can become a generational. Something to avoid in this, like in rewarding people and offering opportunities, is like over incentivizing early users. So like, just because somebody comes and uses your protocol, your product, plays your game every day for the first month, like that doesn't mean to give them 5% of the equity in your business through tokens. Like there are mercenaries that will come and will farm your protocols, and they will leave, and they will have ultimately have just leached from your ecosystem and not helped to build it all. So just something to be aware of. And then again, just with the retention, especially if you're creating content, and if we're talking about social media, you ultimately will be creating content, but being consistent. So like we do these shows, and they're every Tuesday, they're every Thursday. When they're coming, what time they're at. Even just that sort of level of consistency, a daily update, a weekly update, letting people know what's going on, so that they can keep track, and building up to your key moments, to your big launches, to your big announcements, so that it doesn't just feel, again, like that flash in the pan. People have all of a sudden become a part of your ecosystem, that they've had a say in the next launch. They feel like they're a part of what is coming, or what has already happened. And all of a sudden you've got this army of community that's hitting the timeline when you launch your new product, that is passionate, and maybe even almost as passionate as you are, and hitting all of these different channels, hitting all of these spaces with your message, with your campaign. And drive impulse. That's my last note. We talked a little bit about creating impulse, and how that's creating an action, a response from somebody that they haven't had time to think about. And it's a key in sales, and it's something you guys should also be aware about, even if you're not building something. If you're just listening in, and you're curious, and you're supporting the ecosystem, the attention only goes so far. And if you guys are supporting every single person who catches your eye, at some point attention diminishes, trust diminishes. All these things have diminishing returns. So do just be aware of if you're feeling impulse, and think about kind of what it is you're doing. So, yeah.
Whoa, loved it. Wait, oh yeah, you dropped off, or okay, you just muted. Cool. Wait, am I the only one here? Is anyone else here?
I'm still here. I just
Yeah, we're here.
Yeah,
bro.
cool.
Or-
Okay, it
good
just
for
went
you.
like silent. I was like, wait, something happened. Cool. Before we move to the Q&A, why do you want to take over the workshop part?
I feel like that can be a really good follow-up question for the timeline unlock.
Okay.
Just like as a reminder for everyone, because I do know that we're like 20 minutes past the time, and probably there's still questions, so I'll rather focus on that.
Okay. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
So I'll just like kick off then quickly. First one is from Croc. Question for why. How do you think about reaching ape chain normies for ape chain, ApeCoin, and in general?
I think that is a very good question. I think that is what everyone is trying to solve right now. And I think a good answer is, for example, what we're doing with Alpine and what we're doing with these brands. Normies, they have like this vision that crypto is only about scams and making money. But we really want to show them that there's legit way more things that you can do that probably don't even touch on those. So one of the things that was done with Alpine, which is, by the way, focused on normies, is how can we reward Alpine fans with something on chain, even if they don't know that it is on chain. But if they dig a little bit, they're gonna find that this is an on-chain activation, that each poster is an NFT, that they can sell it, but we're not talking about them like that because we do know that there is a lot of pushback because of the bad blood and bad fame that we have on crypto. So in terms of like how do we reach normies, I think that the key question here is like how do we build products that don't scream crypto web3 right away? How do we make this easy and accessible for everyone? So for example, Glyph, how Glyph is a great solution because it's just an email. I have an account for a normie. I created an account for us. It's like, oh, now you have a wallet. Now you can transact. Now you can on ramp. So again, I think that is normies is where we need to go, but we need to build apps and protocols and things that seem easy, that not they're not complicated, and they're friendly to use for them.
Yeah, there was a question around if again, it's not like a question. It was just like a small. It was about like Glyph being free. So I just wanted to drop that. Like right now, Glyph is fully subsidized, so you can just go ahead, integrate it in your projects, and just like start using it. It's one of the best, I think, onboarding experiences. We've used it in Alpine. We used it in Cool Kicks activation as well, and it's just like really smooth. And
Yep.
yeah, I mean, if you onboard like Web2 users, I can't imagine a better way to do that.
Yep. 100% agree with you.
So the next question is from Hodl Rooster. How hard would it be to give a PPT presentation in the auditorium in other side?
I mean, I
Ooh,
can take this.
yeah,
Go
go ahead.
ahead. No, go
Yeah.
ahead, Shpend.
Yeah, I would say by PPT that's PowerPoint presentation, right? Or am I misunderstanding something?
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think at the moment it's pretty difficult because I think the amphitheater isn't up for use yet. But I do think in the future, I already know the team is thinking of ways to draw up more uses and use cases for the auditorium and the big screen. I would say at the moment it's pretty hard because that infrastructure isn't there. But in the coming future, there may be things where like you rent out a segment or you rent out a time slot where you could come in and share what you want to the grander audience. If maybe it's token gated through other deeds or something else, or maybe open to the public. So yeah, I would say at the moment it's pretty hard, but there could be opportunities in the future to be able to give a presentation inside of other side.
Sweet. I hope that answers the question. But I think like everyone's looking forward to playing around with the other side. Next one is Minty. Minty asks, these days I've seen a trend for Telegram and there's just so much judgment on slow discords that I'm hesitant to start up a Discord. Maybe I scale up to a Discord like Spence suggests.
Yeah, I think this is a great question, and I think touching back on the Telegram versus Discord conversation, it really depends on what your target audience is. I think what I've personally seen is Telegram tends to lend itself to more of like the DeFi, tech savvy user base, people building bots, people that are a bit more on the technical side tend to flourish or thrive on the Telegram scene, where maybe Discords make a little bit more sense for if you're building something like an NFT community or a game where you want to have all those separate channels, you want the token gate things. So I think it really just depends on what your target audience is. But either way you go, whether it's Telegram or Discord, I do think scaling up to it makes sense, right? Maybe you start off with your core contributors that you've sniped on X in a small X chat. And then from there, as you see that group grow out or expand to, 20, 30, 50 plus people, like, okay, let's find a better place to house the conversation, keep information flowing. As we know, XDMs can get flooded. You send a message from a week ago that could be hard to find. So yeah, I would definitely suggest, scaling up and one, just determining what your target audience is and what platform is best suited for them, whether that is Discord or whether that is the Telegram. But I would say, yes, I do also see the trend of more telegrams being used, like we're seeing with BAYC activating recently on Telegram. So I think both are very great platforms, and they offer a wide variety of tools depending on your audience.
I think also, just chiming in here real quick, keyword here is judgment on slow discords. I think what we have seen is discords just going like insanely wild, and then obviously when like things get like a little bit more quiet, people tend to judge that. But if your discord, it was never that big, it was, as the Shpend is saying, more for your core community. How are you communicating with them? Because I do know that I for example, me with like X messages, I'm not that good. Like I tend to be like, oh my god, so much, like it's so complicated to scroll. So maybe you want to move to a messaging platform. So the keyword here is slow Discord. What is a slow Discord? If you didn't grow that fast, it's not going to be slow because you have your core community talking about the product, talking about the project, like updates and whatnot. So it doesn't feel slow. I think this is all coming from the NFT days where we used to jump on a Discord and there was like literally slow mode activated because it was moving so fast. And then now you see a Discord that used to be like super busy and now it's slow. Then that's where the FUD comes. But I still have like a bunch of Discords that are like more laid back, not super famous, and they're like very active and people love them.
Sorry. Web3 Gatsby asks, is there AI AdWords agents now? And I think I'll just want to expand a little bit on that. If you could recommend any other AI toolkits that you could recommend.
I know Lust is going to probably want to chime in on this one because he talked a lot about this, and there was some speculation if it was actually a Lust or if it was just an AI agent instead of him talking. So I'll let him chime in, and then I can add some thoughts.
Exposed. I was in the chat chatting. Which tools you want? AI tools? Is it the question on the screen? AI AdWord agents? That's the question.
Yeah. So it's like.
That is the question, but what Alok is saying, like if we have, or if you have like a recommendation of like, hey, this could be like a good starter AI kit, right? Like, oh, I use this one for this, I use that one for this. If we can give some recommendations.
Okay. I'm gonna be honest. I've been using Chat GPT for I want to say 3 years now. So there's several different models. Primarily, I'm using ChatGPT for either like copywriting, creative copywriting, or for like in the past writing reports, like doing due diligence on grant proposals that were coming in to the DAO when I was a facilitator. Search engine positioning AI kits. I'm not answering that question.
I am. Don't worry.
Okay, cool. So Vi will follow up on that question. But yeah, just for the language models, I would definitely say to take advantage of something like ChatGPT or Claude, or even what's native in Twitter, like Grok. And if you're able to sort of train those models specifically on your product and like a unique writing style, like for instance, if there's a couple of people who you like maybe there's someone who speaks extremely clear and coherently, and then you have another person who's more of like a meme kind of wild character, you could take tweets from both of those people, or you could take blurbs of copy from both of those people, feed them into one of the models, one of the like a ChatGPT or Claude, prompt the model to let them know that you're going to provide blurbs of copy that reflect a writing style that you want to improve on, and sort of amalgamate these styles to combine the styles. And you can create your own unique writing style that's maybe like a clear and coherent, kind of funny guy. And you can evolve and progress it from there. And what that'll do is make it easy to just kind of come and dump information when you have a new product. Dump all of the information about the new product into the language model and give it a prompt like, hey, write an announcement post in my unique writing style, and it'll kind of take all of the information about your product launch and give you at least an initial place to start with what an announcement might look like for that information. Yeah, exactly. You could do that. You could take Lost, take Shpend, throw it into ChatGPT, say, I like these guys' styles, write me a post like them. And yeah, go ahead, bye.
Yeah, so what I was going to say, Web3, is I'm not sure if there's like a specific one, but I think the general advice on this is probably right now you can build an agent that does everything. I did found a couple, but when I was doing some research about other type of agents, I can share that via DM if you want. Feel free to send me a message on X. There is, but essentially you can take all the data from your AdWords campaigns and your PPC campaigns and just like essentially feed that to the model. And I think that is very aligned with what Lost is saying. I don't think that there's an answer to, oh yeah, this one is the best. I think here the question is like, how can you train your agent to actually give you the data that you want? So again, you can go find some starters on like actually just googling it. I found a couple. Again, feel free to send me a message. But again, it's all about the data and how you feed and train your agent, which is going to actually make it valuable. Otherwise, when you, for example, me, I use a lot of ChatGPT to write briefs, help me organize my ideas, create references for creative teams, and whatnot. So you can use them for whatever you want, and they're just gonna get better the more you use them and the more you train them. That is essentially the key for this.
Sweet. We just got like last question from Croc. On the trust and verify piece, what have you learned about getting normies comfortable in the space? Glyph is a huge entry point for this, but they need a reason to log in.
I was waiting to see if the team wanted to like answer. I mean, I think how can we get normies comfortable in the space? Not gonna lie, I think one of the things that we have seen with um, Cool Kicks activation and Alpine and some other things that we're doing is whenever there's no need for them to actually put funds or credit card right away, that usually is what makes them feel comfortable. For example, my brother, he's a really like avid fan of F1 since like I don't know, probably 25 years now. And when I told him about the posters of, by the way, he's full disclosure here, he's not an Alpine fan. Uh, he's been a fan of Ferrari for like years. But when he saw the posters, he was like, "Oh, this is pretty cool. I actually want to collect this. How do I collect them?" I was like, "You just need your email." He was like, "Wait a minute, is this like somehow related to what you do for a living? Is this crypto?" And I was like, just go and claim it and you tell me your experience. He claimed it. He was very happy. Every week he claims his. And when I asked, when I told him like, yes, this is crypto. You created a wallet. You're transacting. That is a collectible. That is an NFT. It's on chain. Blah blah blah. I was like, oh wow, like that felt like really good because it was not this complication. That really makes me feel comfortable. And now he's exploring. He actually missed one, and I realized that because we were talking the other day. He was like, "Oh, I actually went and bought it." I was like, "How do you bought it?" He was like, "Well, I went to this page and I saw that there was a listing and I bought it." I was like, "Wow, okay." That, by the way, he bought it with a credit card. Um, so it's very interesting to see how he went from not wanting to participate in crypto to something that feels natural for him, which is like collecting a poster for something that he likes. And now towards like, oh, now I collected this, I missed that one. I can go use my credit card and buy it, and it's just gonna go to this wallet. He hasn't go through the process of like, now I want to sell them, now I want to unramp and have like my funds there. He's probably gonna get there. But your question is, how do we get them comfortable? I think it's with tools like Live and with apps and protocols that feel not like in your face, numbers, money, whatnot.
Yeah, and if I can just add there as well, I think, another thing that can help really like cementify that trust and verify piece is small incentives, small carrots, right? Whether it's, I think in the crypto space, Web3 users are, they're incentivized by the financial side. And I think we're kind of spoiled, right? Where it's like, oh, if this airdrop isn't four figures, five, six figures, I'm not chasing it. But in the normie Web 2 space, rewarding them with something as small as maybe some merch, some signed merch, an exclusive experience, something under $100 could go a long way. When to have somebody sign in and check something once a week, two, three times a week, and as they go through that motion and collect four, five, six posters, which takes them maybe a minute of their day, throughout the week over a month, and then get rewarded for doing so. I think those are the kind of use cases that show people like, oh, okay, well, like Vi said, I didn't have to put up my credit card. I didn't have to buy this quote unquote Ponzi scheme. I just had to participate, and I was rewarded through participating. And it doesn't need to be a $100,000 airdrop. It could be something as simple as some merch gear, something under $100 that I think is more impactful for that Web 2 audience, as compared to someone in Web 3 that's like, oh, another piece of merch. Oh, this isn't. I can't buy a Bored Ape off this. I'm okay. Um, so yeah, I think it's a mix of sprinkling those carrots and those incentives for people as well.
Thank you, and Wise, send sympathies to your brother for being a Ferrari fan.
I
I
know,
know what
right?
he's going through.
I know, right? I know, right?
Yeah, I know this the feeling, so I feel for him. La-
I remember sending him that meme from Charles Leclerc
on
in
the
the
hill.
Netherlands. Yeah, on the hill. Like, Mom, come pick me up. Like, I send him that every single weekend.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So just like we'll make room for one last question because I think this is good fun. And yes, from Web3 Gatsby, essentially make your own custom agent. It's a way can we use Think Agents for that?
I know someone unmuted, so I'm just waiting to see who that was.
It was a trick. I was gonna say I don't know who added to me to this room. Something about federal agents. I don't know how I got. I'm lost.
You're lost. Okay. Yeah, I think building your own agent, I believe so. Think agents can be used for that, I think. I do know that they have like a good Discord server and they're very responsive on that. But yeah, well, Gatsby, I think that the answer here is like build your own. One thing that I do is I try to look for someone that already went through the labor of building a V1 and then just like try to make it a little bit more for what I need, right? Because there's a lot of, I think right now there's a lot of agents, there's a lot of AI tools, there's a lot of things out there, but not all of them are good, or everyone wants to charge you a lot of money. So there's probably like a couple good free agent guides out there, and you can use another paid product like ChatGPT or Claude or whatnot to like essentially enhance that experience.
Sweet. I think we can end the Q&A here. This session has gone longer than we thought, but it's been great. I think feels like the trio put together this session in terms of like you cover all the bases, and like you guys are essentially like the backbone, you all the way from BAYC and now to like ApeChain and ApeCo. So you've seen like all the ups and downs, the different metas, like market conditions, everything. So it's like what you guys are providing is like invaluable. And so we can close this session here unless like you guys have anything to add towards the end.
No, I just wanted to say thank you guys for providing this and for creating this space. Had a blast. Hope everyone here in the audience enjoyed it. I'll say feel free to, if you have questions, feel free to reach out. I think the entire team here, Locke, us, everyone is just here to help you build and be successful on ApeChain. So feel free to reach out with any question further. I don't know, whatever you need, we're here to support you guys. And thank you, Matthias and Alok for the session. Sorry,
Yeah.
we talk a lot. We really like to talk, as you can see. We're marketing, I guess.
That's how you do it. Yeah, sorry to go over, and just want to echo those. Appreciate you guys having us. Appreciate you guys running this Vibe Code camp for, I think this is like fourth, fifth week ongoing. I know there's still some more. So you guys have really been crushing it. I've seen the community really react positively to all the sessions, and this is just another great one in the book. So thank you for having us. Ape chain on top, baby.
Ape chain on top.
The chin on top.
Ape chain on top.
Thanks, guys.
Thank-
Appreciate you having us. Not sorry for going over. Appreciate everybody for listening. And appreciate everybody's patience. Love y'all.
Thank
Ape
you
chain
all.
on top.
Ape chain on top. All right. Thank you. Bye bye.
Thank you, guys.
Bye bye.